didn't think I'd be back in time, did you?
No, I didn't. Hello, everybody. It's James here. Storytime with Dutch Mantell, episode 129. I'm leaving that in Dutch. First thing Dutch said to me is, okay, we're starting recording this late because Dutch had to do something else. And then he emailed me beforehand and said, we really need to talk about Vince McMahon buying TNA.
Yeah. We really, and we did this on a Tuesday.
Which is
and what date? And what was Tuesday?
April 1st.
Hey, I bought into it.
Did you know it was April Fool's Day?
Well, I know it now, but when that was first broached with me last night, really, I said, "Wow." Then now I'm figuring out scenarios for it to fit. Well, wait a minute. Shane did go and talk to them. And, then he went
that was
back
AEW.
Oh, that's who he talked to?
Yeah, he talked to AEW.
Well,
the story with that is apparently Shane McMahon wanted points in the company. And Tony just went, nope, and supposedly ghosted him. After that, he's not talked to Shane since.
But it was still fit. So he talked to AEW, and AEW, kind of turned him down. So he's looking for another company. But then you get to thinking about that if you want to go that deep. Why would Vince McMahon buy anything? Why wouldn't he just start a brand new one with himself? So
that's the thing. Well, there was another one recently saying that Fox was interested in working with Vince. But it was like, why would they be? They just got rid of WWE. Why would they then be interested in working with Vince McMahon, who has got rather a tainted opinion from the public at the moment, let's call it.
And
and there's no talent out there anyway.
Vince's ego wouldn't allow him to take less money than what AEW was getting. So that's a big stopper in the drain too.
How are you? You all right? We barely spoke, really. We just had to rush on.
Wait a minute. Hey, my mustache, I pointed in a different direction. See there? Now, this is easier, and it's easier to maintain, and it's going down, which is its natural flow anyway. So I may just leave it like this.
They're going to meet. They're going to meet in the middle soon.
Well, yeah, I can, and then I can hook it together like that, or maybe I could braid it, but I don't know. But it's just a different look, but I like it.
You ready? Are you ready to go?
I am ready, by God.
All right, let's
do it. I'm ready to talk some wrestling.
Very good, very good. We're going to be getting to, it's just all the usual news, really. We're going to be talking about John Cena, Cody Rhodes. We're going to be talking about all the stuff on Raw, all some stuff, some people leaving AEW, all that kind of good stuff. But first, we've got to do the intro. Good. First off, WSI is on Facebook, linked in the description. I've got 2 YouTube channels, WSI, don't worry about that at the moment. The James Romero channel, the Stevie Richards channel, which I do every single Friday as well. And, Dutch, there's going to be a new channel coming from me in the near future as well.
Really?
Oh, yes.
What's it going to be?
I'm not going to tell you. No, I'll tell you off air, but I'm going to reveal it on this show next week, I think.
Oh, a new show?
Not a show. Not a show like this. It's going to be something else.
Oh, an offshoot. But nothing to do with wrestling.
It is going to be to do with wrestling. I've tried to do stuff that isn't wrestling based, and it's too exhausting.
I see.
So yeah,
I know what it is, but I'm not going to tell you right here.
On. Is it trouserless?
I know exactly
reviews?
what it is.
What is it?
I do. No, I'm not telling you.
Oh, right, okay. Well,
if I told you, I'd have to tell everybody, and you don't want me to do that. Because if I did tell you, you know what you do? You just edit it out, and nobody would ever hear it anyway.
You
say, hey,
right.
Smarter than the average berry.
I'd dub you over. I wouldn't edit it out. I'd dub you over having you say something else.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you do the AI. And I'd make some, revealing statement about myself that wasn't true.
How do we know?
It could be true. I don't know. All right, continue with the show.
Well, a couple more introductions and all that kind of good stuff. Some things for sale, of course, all from Dirty Dutch Mantell himself. Of course, there are the signed books, 2 of them, biographies, autobiographies almost, of just the best stories from Dutch's Goodness me, 50-year plus career at this point, I must say, in pro wrestling. If you want unsigned, you can go straight to Amazon. Links in the description. If you want signed, you email Dirty Dutch Mantell with 2 L's at gmail.com. Make your inquiries there for signed books, for signed WCW cards. There's a few University of Dutch caps going now these days as well. So email that email. And make your request there, I suppose. And one more email to remember is, of course, questionsfordutch@gmail.com. That is the only email you use if you want to submit questions for our weekly Ask Dutch Anything episode, which is dropping every Sunday at the moment. We keep moving days, everybody. But yeah, at the moment it's going to be, we record on a Tuesday, and then the shows are going to be out Wednesday and Sunday. You're happy with that arrangement now, Dutch, because I know you hate Mondays.
Okay, what's out Wednesday? This show?
Story time. Story time's out on Wednesday.
So you don't have a long time to turn this around.
No, tell me about it.
We can't make a lot of mistakes. Right?
We do a lot.
Well, I don't make mistakes anyway, so.
No, that's absolutely right. Well, I'll tell you what then, as somebody, the infallible, if you like that word, Dutch Mantell.
I do like that word.
John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. Now, every single week of the past few weeks on Raw, WWE Raw on Netflix, if you want to give it its full name, Cody Rhodes and John Cena have been doing basically promo battles. And the first couple of weeks, I don't know about you, I think you really liked them. I was a bit more dubious. But this week, I think was a big improvement. What did you make of it?
I liked it. And the reason I liked it is because you're shooting at me because I'm a member of the crowd too. When they're doing a promo, I don't know what they're going to say, but they said some things that the people knew exactly what they were talking about. Like Cody at one point, told Cena, "You were the product of one man," and everybody knows this. He's talking about Vince, and they did a little history. They said we used to ride together, and because John, I know you cared a little bit for me back then. And, and he said, I cared. And what he was saying really is, you were the chauffeur. You drove me around. So he was nothing more than a hired hand. That's what he was relating to. But he said a lot of things in there about going to another company. Before, when Vince was there, he would almost fire you if you mentioned AEW. But of course, when I was there, it was like he was talking about WCW. If you even mentioned WCW, you're fired. Don't tell them there's another company out there to watch. It was his mantra. You like that word, mantra? And he'd just raise hell, and he might fire you. I don't know if he'd fire you, but he would probably fine you for doing that. But in this interview here, I think they accomplished a lot. And it was an interesting promo. And it ended up, I didn't like the way it ended up. But
why not?
Well, he left him laying, and I don't think he should have left him laying. I mean, the people that are listening to this, they probably watch Raw anyway. I've never been a big fan about just leaving somebody laying. At least let Cena get off and stagger off or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're trying to transfer that the business is legit, and sometimes, you can see some things and said, I think he really hit him. But I think if he just hits him like that, I think Cena should still be able to move. It didn't incapacitate him into such a way to where he just rendered just immobile and just laying there. I've never been a fan of that, just leaving a guy laying, especially a guy Cena's stature.
Are you of the opinion?
My opinion.
I was going to say, are you of the opinion that they should have got physical this week? Because I think they've got 2 more weeks till WrestleMania. When's the optimum time to finally have them touch, I guess?
Well, I'm sure they have something to feel. Now it's just going to be talk time. There's no need to do it anymore because they did it here. unless, and if they do a physical angle, I think it'll be Cena doing something to Cody and beating the living crap out of him or something, because they can't have Cody. Well, they could. I mean, they can do anything they want to do. I'm just guessing. But I think they're just as good not doing anything and just talking. Okay, is WrestleMania sold out?
I don't think it's sold out because it's a 2-night affair now, but I don't know. I don't know how many tickets they've sold at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, I heard it wasn't sold out.
No, I don't think it is.
Okay. But what was the WrestleMania that was, sold out 2 weeks before we got there, 3 weeks?
Oh, God, I don't know. I mean, like before the 2-night era, I'm sure quite a lot of them were. The problem is with stadium shows is quite often I don't think they do sell them out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Going back with Cody and Cena, I got the impression because Cody sort of outwitted John, lands the crossroads, and then leaves. Mm-hmm. Because he got the first strike in, it made me think that Cody was going to lose. Is that just me being over analytical there? But I always assume that the person who gets the upper hand going into WrestleMania is the one who's going to lose.
Well, let's break it down. Cena's won how many? 16?
How many what? Oh, titles, yeah.
And Flair won 17.
No, well, on paper, Flair, well, WWE canon is that Ric Flair won 16 as well.
That's what's recognized.
16 for both.
And I think, hey, there is a good possibility they could slip it over to Cena. And since The Rock is the head, he's the chief boss, the prime boss. What is he?
Oh, he's the final boss.
The final boss. What would keep him from just presenting the belt to The Rock?
Cena.
And when they say that's illegal, he overrules them. No, all big decisions go through me. And I say it's what he does is he takes it and makes it a dictatorship. And when you're dealing with Rock, there's not a lot of misses, I don't think, at this point. But still, this was a show without The Rock, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they just mentioned him, but at least they mentioned him a lot more.
Yeah, this is the first week. In the 3 weeks they've been doing these promo battles, this is the first time one of them has mentioned The Rock. So I was genuinely getting to the point where, like, The Rock just wasn't going to be there at all. Thinking, because they just seem to be ignoring, like, the biggest part of the puzzle.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure he's going to be there, and I think he's going to play a major part in it. Where is The Rock right now? He's making that movie? What movie is he making?
Oh, I don't know. I know he's signed up for another one, but I suspect he wouldn't be making it until after WrestleMania if he's going to be away for 6 months or something.
Well,
who knows?
He's away now.
Mm.
So?
He's not in Europe.
Well, how do you know?
Well, he's not on the shows in Europe, specifically.
No, you're talking about the WWE shows.
Yes. Hey, let's get to some of the things that they said. The first couple of weeks, as you picked up before, and you really liked it for this reason, is that John Cena was constantly talking about the fans. How the fans are the ones who've made John Cena do the things that he's now doing. What I like more about this one is that they weren't referencing the fans anywhere near as much. They were actually getting personal with each other. Yep. And I enjoyed that more.
Yes.
So, I mean, Cody... What else did Cody say about John?
Cody says that John Cena was the embodiment or the imagination of one man who's no longer here anymore. Didn't mention his name, but we know who he's talking about. Who put it all on John Cena?
The future owner of TNA.
And the fans knew exactly who he was talking about. Because they didn't cheer or boo, they went, ooh. It's almost like, wait a minute, that is, when you get a reaction like that from the fans, you've hit a nerve. And they wonder where it's going. And I'm going to tell you what, every time Cody said something, I think he rebutted it and came back stronger. It was a very, very good interview, interesting interview. They had the crowd. Hell, they had me. So I'm wondering, hey, this is verbally, I'd give it out of a score of 100, I'd give it 100. The verbal part of it. And the execution of it, I'd give it, that's probably one of the best interviews I've seen in a long, long time because they took their time. They're both good talkers, and I enjoyed it. I really did.
Cody says, John, you're still my hero, but you're a piece of shit. And then Cena says, Rhodes' mind is full of feces and not facts. He sold out not because no one is worthy of following him. But there's something that it actually passed me by the first time I watched it, but apparently not for most of the people at the crowd, but maybe it passed you by as well, that John says, after all these years, that he still finds ways to make things great, including Cody Rhodes. And then Cena also says, I make empires for billionaires. Yes. All you've ever done is steal money from their kids. So, right. Of which he is referring to?
I'd say he's referring to AEW.
And Tony Khan, yeah.
And Tony Khan.
They're mentioning AEW a lot at the moment.
No, yeah, but they didn't mention the name. They just said another company. Mm-hmm. Now, years ago, and I just said this, that, if you mentioned another company, you were gone. You were out of there. But they mentioned it. And because they know it's true, I mean, they just don't watch WWE exclusively. They've all watched AEW, and whether they liked it or not, it doesn't matter. But at least they existed. So, and I'll tell Tony to his face, they did Tony a favor by even mentioning AEW the way they did. See, they mentioned it in such a way that made AEW legitimate.
Yeah, I was going to say legitimizes them because they're not saying... Because what they used to say, like for ECW, for example, was a pissant, whatever it is, in an old bingo hall. They reduced it. WCW, they would talk about, down south with the wrestling and that kind of thing, and they'd mock it for being a southern promotion, above its station, I guess. But with AEW, at least the way they mention it here, they don't mention the company name, but they talk about how you had to disappear for a while and then you came back, and they don't denigrate AEW as much as they could do actually.
It's not. I never liked that philosophy anyway. To talk bad about another company. Why? You're giving them, that just makes the people who own it pissed off, or some of the guys who work for it, I guess. But if you're gonna be the top of the heap and be the king, make your competition at least within striking distance, but we're still the king. Make them strong. See, like when I first broke into wrestling, one of the first things they told me was, listen, I want you to go out there and be a little bit of aggressive because I want to, at least when I beat you, because that's all I was doing, I beat somebody. I beat somebody who was competitive. If I just go out there and beat you up, they just feel sorry for you. I can beat you up and I'm the bad guy because but if you do some things to me and now everything's right with the world, but you look competitive and I won. And it made sense to me.
So there's 2 weeks left until WrestleMania thereabouts, or 2 Raws until WrestleMania. Let's say you've got 2 segments to do whatever you want with Cody Rhodes and The Rock before the big show. How would you book it? Would you have Cena get his revenge, or would you have them not touch again? Would you not even have them be in the same ring until WrestleMania? What would you do?
Well, I don't think they need to do anything. I think they just need to if the interest is there, the interest is there now. Not in the next 2 weeks. I'd have them actually Cody training and Cena training. And and cut the interviews from a distance. And because I don't think there's anything you can do in the last 2 weeks that'll make another person buy the ticket. It's already set in stone. It's Cena versus Cody Rhodes, and you build up that Cena wants that 17th title run. He wants that, and Cody, did he get lucky to get here where he got? And so, but you can still put that they could be an upset brewing, and Cody might not be able to carry through with it. Cena may. I mean, you could put doubt in the fans' mind because you're doubting it right now. You don't know, and this is the way wrestling should be. I could see Cena winning and giving it to The Rock. I can see that plain as day. Or I can see Cody winning. And because if Cody wins, then he's got to go to he's got to go to a series with who's his next opponent, you think?
Well, it probably would be The Rock, I guess, would make the most sense, but The Rock isn't available.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not available.
It would be probably whoever wins the Punk and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns match then, maybe.
And I can see Roman Reigns. Or, I tell you, I don't see Seth Rollins in that picture. I think they've kind of devalued Seth a little bit. I think that gimmick has kind of devalued him a little bit too, because it's a feel good gimmick basically. People don't hate Seth when he comes dressed up and dancing to his music and all. CM Punk would be a good one, or did I just say him?
No, you said Roman.
Roman, CM Punk, and Randy Orton. He's a good. So he has opponents now. So we could go back. I don't know. I think they got a lot of doors they can go through. But I would go ahead. I think if it's me, I would actually put it on Cena. I would. And now Cody, he goes in a period of mourning, which would fit him. He's let everybody down, but then he's let his father down, and he's even thought about that was the high spot of his career, that to win the title. Now he's won it, and he's made really, really, really good investments over the years. So he may even think about just walking away from wrestling, and then something brings him back. So he's gotta be, to me, if he loses, he can't be mad. He can just say, I appreciate the fans staying with me, and I disappointed you. And I mean, there is a story there, or they could make it a story. But whether that'll happen or not, I don't know. But sometimes, WrestleMania, they want to go and make the fans happy. But we'll see. Hey, I'm a fan like everybody else. I don't know what they're going to do. You don't either. We're just talking. But I think there is a lot to be said for actually Cena winning. Because if Cena wins, who else wins? The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock wins, and he's the chief boss, or the chief of the, what's he call himself?
Final boss.
Oh, the final boss. And they could do. See, I did that with Savio in Puerto Rico. I had a heel champion, but Savio was always the manager, and he never would put the title up, saying, "No, we got to have rules here. We're not going to run it like we used to run it, just ragtag." Said we're all going to put it up one time every 4 to 6 weeks or whatever. So, and the belt was never on the line. The champion would go out there and get beat, and people said, boy, if he ever puts it up. And then when he puts it up, now Savio gets involved, and, we get a DQ, or we get this, we get that. And finally, when I worked the angle with Savio, I forgot who I worked it with now, but went to the stadium, immediate sellout. Because they just wanted to see him just get his ass handed to him, And of course, he'd get his ass handed to him, but of course, then he might even get pinned, but they'd leave that babyface laying. So, I mean, you got to give him a pop, and then you got to work the angle. To me, that's the way I was raised. Of course, Puerto Rico was 20 years ago. So, and things may have changed, but if I was booking WWE right now, I would find out whether the fans were so smart that they wouldn't buy any of this stuff, and I'd find out quick, and then I'd have to recalibrate it and see what works. See, every territory, this is a booker's dilemma. Every territory was different, because a lot of territories you'd go to, you don't know the past. You don't know what's happened, what they've been educated on, what they've been schooled on, or how they react in certain situations. So you would have to go in there and you'd have to either talk to somebody or go to every show yourself and listen to the fans and what they pop to. And then you'd have to finally get close to the mood they were used to and then upset them. That takes a lot of work, and sometimes you could do it, sometimes you couldn't. But it takes, this was also a booker's dilemma back in the day. You need time. I went to Florida one time, and I've told this story before. Dusty was there, but the reason I was going to Florida was because Dusty left, and they were looking for a booker. So Eddie Graham, Mike Graham's father, and he called Jerry Jarrett, and he was looking for a booker. Said, "Do you have a guy there?" And he said, "Well, yeah, I do." And he said, he mentioned my name. So I went down there, and I was where they were used to doing decent business with Dusty. I mean, not sellouts every night, but houses that were fairly full. Dusty left and took everybody that was anybody there. And he left basically a second string team. So you go back in these same towns that were major towns like Miami and Tampa and Jacksonville and Orlando and all those towns, but you're going in there with a B lineup. And people said, we don't want to see them because they weren't the stars. And it took me a month to 6 weeks to even get interest back. And then when I got interest, and then when I brought in, I think, Flair the first time, I think that was like 3 to 4 months before I even moved the needle. But then once I started moving the needle and the stories set in, then it kind of took off. And you can say, well, what'd you do in that summer? Well, I wasn't there that summer because as everybody knows that knows anything about Florida, Eddie Graham had a lot of personal issues and he committed suicide. And after he did that, I lost all interest in staying in Florida because I liked Eddie and that affected me. And so I just gave my notice and I left.
We shall move on to something else on WWE. Now, this is Gunther attacking Jimmy Uso, the brother of
that's
Jey
my
Uso.
guy. That's my guy, Gunther.
Yes.
The modern day version of Johnny Valentine.
Indeed. Now, what happened was, over the past few weeks, so Jey Uso wins the Royal Rumble. He's number one contender. He chooses Gunther to face at WrestleMania 41. And really, the last few weeks have been really uninspired creatively. There's just been Jey Uso attacks Gunther, or Gunther attacks Jey Uso. It's just been tippy-tappy back and forth. Then Jey Uso, the last couple of weeks, they actually turned a legitimate botched maneuver. He does the old, tries to dive over the ropes, but then doesn't get any air, and then he does the flop dollar where he gets his knees caught and he goes, bleh. And then the week before they did a worked botch, and then they sort of made it into a story where he isn't himself and basically needs to get his confidence back. And then Jimmy, his twin brother, then challenges Gunther. Well, on Raw this past Monday, Gunther beats Jimmy clean, taps him out, or just passes out, I guess, with the sleeper, a rear naked choke. And then Jey Uso comes out to rescue Jimmy. And then as Jey is carrying Jimmy out, Gunther attacks the pair of them. So what did we see, Dutch? And did you like the post match shenanigans.
I did like it because Gunther is the type of heel. And what I don't like them doing with Gunther is making him too talkative and almost likable. You know, a heel shouldn't be likable. But Gunther, you know, he didn't really cheat to win. He just beats the crap out of people. And so he beat Jimmy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he was beating up Jimmy, and then Jay come in to make the save, and yeah, he made the save, and then he was helping his brother out, and here come that no good, cheating ass Gunther, and knocks them both down, and you know, then and this is different. He zip ties Jimmy to the rope, and then he goes over to Jay and beats the living crap out of him more and made Jimmy watch. And he even ended up with Jimmy bleeding like a stuck pig and made his brother watch that. So, and the only thing, and I don't know if the people noticed this, but in any other occasion like this, the ring would be full of security. It'd be full of agents and, you know, those guys in the black shirts and all. Well, they didn't come here to a long, long time had expired. And I don't know if the people noticed that much, but it was actually a very good heat-seeking angle. And I think it got Gunther to where he wants to be. And that primed that match. They don't need to do anything else now. It just show a repeat of that. What happened there, and they can show if you're talking about Cena and all that. You can just show a repeat of that, or they go off and they're thinking about it and just. But then you can concentrate on your other matches. But I don't know if showing just the video of Cody and Cena would be enough, because you got an audience there, and they need to stay. And sometimes when you put your talent out there that hasn't been pushed to the moon, they get bored. And that's the thing. And that's what the creative team has to think. So, and for me to say, well, what would you put out there? I would have to actually look at the lineup, look at who they got, and I may have an answer for you then. But we'll see. But I am interested in the last match at WrestleMania.
Is blood more shocking now? I know blood's coming back the last couple of years in WWE and especially in AEW, I guess. But is it more shocking now in 2025 than it was 20 years ago or 30 years ago, do you think?
What, blood?
Yeah, when I say shocking, I mean, does it stand out more now?
Well, it's according to where you were. If you was ECW, hell, the guys go to the ring bleeding.
I was going to say Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Oh, my God, they lived on it. Oh, my God. You know, they'd tell me, you know, they wouldn't even have to tell me, you know, but hey, that's never been my thing. See there? Never been my thing, so.
Mm-hmm. Good for you as well.
And when I was in Puerto Rico, I would lose it on the way to the ring or break it off or something. And there'd always be some kind of reason. And they would get pissed off. Like, where's the blood? I said, oh, I broke my blade. Oh, I forgot to put it on. And they finally understood. See, we were drawing sellouts, so they couldn't say nothing. They could say, hey, you better do better next time, or what? Or what are you going to do? What if I don't show up? So they couldn't make me too mad. But Carlos would get upset with it. So, and I say, okay, I'll get it. I get it. And guess what? The next time, something else would happen. Yeah, I lost it. I forgot to put it on. I broke it. See, that's an art form too. Even putting it on and getting it ready to use. So, but yeah, they are bringing it back a little more, but I don't know. I don't know the effectiveness of it. But for the younger people who've never seen it, they can hear about it and they say, "What the hell? I didn't see him do that, or this, that, and the other." You know what they have lost though? It's called the hard way. You've heard of hard ways?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you just do it over your eye right there in the dressing room, and you just put something to seal it up. I forgot what you call that now.
Yeah, petroleum jelly. We won't
something, but it's made for that. And when it gets ready to go, guy taps it, and it comes.
Hey, do you remember this years ago, right, as far as hardways goes? Brock Lesnar and I think Randy Orton. Anyway, apparently because you couldn't cut yourself at this time, that was an absolute no-no. They thought somehow that the better way to get blood was for Brock to elbow Randy Orton's head into absolute oblivion. I'd just probably give him a horrible concussion at the same time. Whereas it's clearly more safe just to cut yourself and then throw work punches.
By doing that, did they tell Randy Orton he was going to do it? He's going to hit you hard enough that it's going to make you bleed.
I probably suspect that they did know that, and then Randy probably regretted it greatly.
Well, if I'd have been Randy, I said, like shit you are. That 280-pound guy ain't going to hit me and I'm not doing it. Now, he may have done it according to how much money he was making and according to who asked him. And so he may agreed to it, but that's an art form to take your elbow and hit somebody and make them. It's got to be put. It's got to be put in the right place. Mm-hmm. I mean, he could just batter your eye around about 6 or 7 times and nothing. You say, well, what the hell? I'll do it myself. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's one of those policies that make.
Hey, that's
no
not
sense.
funny. That is not funny.
Oh, no,
you're laughing at it.
No, not me. Right, let's move on to the next segment. This is the last of our segment reviews. I know you watched SmackDown last Friday. CM Punk versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins and that contract. Is it me? It was contract signings, maybe the most overdone.
I was thinking the same thing. It took them. Listen, I'm a fan of WWE. I like all those guys there, but it took them forever to get in the ring. Every one of them had full entrances, got in the ring, and sang their song and danced in the aisle. And but they had one good part in that when Paul Heyman, I guess CM Punk got some tears in his eyes, and Paul Heyman went over there and he says, I want you to be happy because, and I think he gave him a present or something.
You said it was going to be the main event of night one WrestleMania.
You get your wish that you would be the main event on WrestleMania, because that was one of the reasons that he gave for quitting the last time, because he didn't have the main event at WrestleMania, which I thought, wait a minute. A lot of guys could have quit over that, but that was a big, big issue with CM Punk. But he did quit and stayed gone for what, 7 years?
Longer? 9?
Maybe,
yeah. Nearly a decade.
Yeah, well, maybe more. And that made me think that could have been a shoot. That CM Punk did not know that Paul Heyman was going to come over there and say that to him. He may have known that Paul Heyman was going to come over there and say something, but he said that. And so they gifted him with the main event at WrestleMania.
Of one of the WrestleManias. That
or
weekend.
Whatever or whatever it said, yeah. But
I thought Roman Reigns was a real slimy bastard, isn't he?
Who's that?
Roman Reigns, where he's like,
he was acting that way.
Yeah.
So, but I think they need to bring him back to heel, because him and Cody got a long run. And I mean, they got it now to where they can pick and choose. I mean, they got a lot of guys warmed up. And I remember SmackDown being, you say, God, they don't have anybody. I remember at one point they got down to Drew. What's his last name?
McIntyre. Well, he just jumped over as well to like short the roster.
They got down to Drew McIntyre was their hottest heel, and I went, guys, you guys need to get somebody over. And now, since all this happened with Vince, and then Paul took over, and the creative team changed over, now they have that working in their favor. And they got TKO with them, who knows how to promote a show, and they have recovered magnificently. So what is WWE on the stock exchange this week?
Oh, I could check that. Well, I checked that, Dutch. Just one thing I wanted to mention about this segment, and I think it's something that WWE is suffering from more and more these days, is that they're just getting really overindulgent with their production. They're focusing too much on celebrities and the self-aggrandizing and all that kind of thing, promotional videos, and there's not enough substance to a lot of these shows, especially SmackDown when it's 3 hours. I mean, it's nothing. Half of it is nothing now. I mean, they're really hard to watch, some of the SmackDowns.
SmackDown, I was saying, please do something, guys. I mean, it's too long, first of all. Now, how long are they going to go for the 3 hours?
They say until June, maybe that. It's not going to be a permanent switch, thank goodness. But apparently it's just going to be for 6 months or so. And to answer your question from before, Dutch, the current stock price as of 4:55 p.m. UK time on a Tuesday is $153.
Up or down?
I think it's up.
Okay.
I mean, from 6 months ago, it was about 122. So
it was 122 6 months ago?
Yeah, so they've got up just 25%.
Yeah, 25 or 30%. Yeah.
Hey, one more thing that I, once again, I know you don't like fantasy booking that much, but what do you think? One, the favor that CM Punk has been owed. Two, when do you think he'll cash it in?
When he would cash what in?
Sort of the favor, Paul Heyman's favor that he keeps referencing.
What favor? Catch me up on this. You've lost me.
God, you watched it last week. Okay, right. So
I did watch it. Paul
Heyman
gave him a present, didn't he?
Yeah, yes. But Paul Heyman owes CM Punk a favor, and this favor has been hinted at for many, many weeks.
Wasn't that it?
Well, that's the thing. CM Punk at the end said that's not the favor, and that's why Roman Reigns was sad.
Oh well, I don't know what the favor is.
There you go. Well, right. Well, what do you think it could
be? I think CM Punk is a hell of a heel, too. I mean, he can get you to like him. He can get you to hate him. And what makes him that way? Because he can talk. He is a great, great talker. And John Cena is a great talker. Now, I don't know how much of that interview that was John, but it was well done, well executed. And sometimes when you give interviews to these guys, they carry them out, I mean, like Academy Award style. And I think John Cena did it, and CM Punk can do it. So that's, and Cena got over because of basically his gimmick and his talking. Because when the people used to, and they brought this up on the interview too, you can't wrestle, you can't wrestle. But see, what Cena was saying was true. They did say that you can't wrestle, and they did hate him, and they ever got tired of him. But he persevered through all of it, and look where he is today. I mean, that's what I think the fans, every fan that left that arena or every fan that watched that on SmackDown, they enjoyed it. I mean, you're always going to have somebody saying, "Oh, that sucked, this sucked, that sucked," you know.
Can't
But
please everyone, can you?
no, you can't. If the general conception or the consensus is that it was good, it was good. It's not just me saying it.
Right, let's move on to some news now, not rather than the sort of WWE segments. Right, so The Rock puts down some mark, I guess is what you would best call him. Some armchair person who made some sort of Instagram video reel several weeks ago started opining, without proof of course, that The Rock hates CM Punk so much that CM Punk will never headline WrestleMania with The Rock in charge. Now, why am I bringing this up? There's idiots online constantly just making shit up just to get clicks all the time. Now, last Friday, CM Punk, along with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, will actually headline WrestleMania Night 1, so that sort of counts. But anyway, The Rock himself, this is why we're bringing it up, is that The Rock himself actually, whoever this guy is, I don't know him, making up this thing, wrote the following. First of all, Punk and I have been good buddies over the years. We're solid. Secondly, whatever matchmaking scenario is best for true long-term, not short-term business success, that will be our main event. Lastly, your clown. He meant to put you're a clown, but he just ended up putting your clown.
I read that this morning. You're a clown. Your clown.
My clown. So
it was almost like he signed it, your clown. I like that.
Your clown indeed. Okay then. So you were actually in WWE at the time when the whole CM Punk thing was kicking off. In fact, you were in line when he quit with Vince and Triple H. At the time, around 2013, 2014, I know obviously you were hanging around Jack Swagger at the time as well. Was CM Punk, do you know, vocal about being upset that all these part-timers like The Rock and Batista and Triple H and Goldberg and whatnot were coming in and taking a spot, quote unquote, or for the most part were people not bitter about it?
There was a lot of talk about it.
Was there really?
Oh, yes. Because they didn't like it. And in a way, you can't blame them because they were doing the miles. They were making all the shows. And here comes in the almost like the substitutes, but they took the top spot. And they didn't like that. And you cannot blame them. Here's Punk flying from, say, New York to L.A., and then working around California for 3 or 4 days and doing a TV out there, then going all the way to Florida and doing the same thing. And driving between, once you land in Florida, you drive between the towns. And you only had like 1 day off a week. And some of those, even flying, that can get brutal on these matches from coast to coast, from East Coast to West Coast. It's 5 hours. 5 hours out there. Then you got to come back because most of the guys lived on the East Coast anyway. So you're spending 10 hours on a plane, and it gets tiresome. You're tired, but see, you're not just going out there. You're not just if you're a wrestler, you're not just an executive in an insurance company going to a big meeting. You're a wrestler. So you got to get there. Then you got to land at the airport. Then you got to go get your car. Then you got to go get a hotel. Then if you got time, then you leave for the town. It's an all day. It's an 18 or 20-hour day. And then you work the show and you get back in your car, and then you either come back to LA where you got your room or you get a room there. But it's still, say you got to leave at say 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. It's a long, long day. And those days add up. And especially if you get hurt. And then you look around and they're bringing in Goldberg and they're bringing in The Rock and they're bringing in this guy and this guy. And I know you got to have these guys on your card because to make it special, it does help the card. But in a lot of these, the guys' mind is, man, they're taking the money because they made their deal before they come in. And so that deal is going to come off the top. And so that's going to, so I can see why it's not appreciated and not liked by the talent. And they had a point.
Mm-hmm. We shall move on. And dare we say our favourite guest ever? Or at least one of our favourite guests ever, absolutely. Gail Kim. She has been surprisingly released by TNA. God. Now, Gail Kim, once again, was our special guest for our 100th episode. We wanted a very special guest, and we got one in Gail Kim. She's been released by TNA alongside several other TNA executives in what has been described as a very surprising move by the company. So Gail Kim was recently moved from the role of a producer, basically, an agent, to working alongside new Anthem president Carlos Silva, who took over the role in February as part of a special projects department, which basically internally was a secret word for you're on the chopping block, apparently. Mm-hmm. So very vague. Essentially, special projects mean nothing, and basically signified the end of Gail. It's looking like Carlos is bringing in his own crew, as well as upgrading some existing TNA office members as well. This is a quote from Gail. "This will not end my passion or my love for wrestling, and this is not the end of Gail Kim in the wrestling world. You don't put in 17 years in one company and stop when you are this passionate. I look forward to sharing my journey, and I'm taking some time for myself and preparing for what's ahead. Looking forward to the future." Now, we'll talk about, your history with Gail Kim a little bit. I mean, we've talked about it a lot of times before, but did you work with Gail Kim when she was an agent in Impact at the time, when you went back in, 2017?
Yes. I didn't work. She was an agent, and she was great. So when I read that they had replaced her, I'm thinking I think they might be making a mistake because she was too good at what she did, and the talent liked her, and they respected her. Now, I don't know who they're going to put in. Did they name a replacement?
No, not yet.
So what it will be a male, probably filling her spot, but it's not the same. She was working with females. And I think
there can't be that many women who also that good at agenting as well. I mean, I know there's a larger crop of men who've been pro wrestlers over the years than women, of course, but there are very few women agents that I've heard of.
Well, when they put her in that slot, I said, she's just in the place she needs to be because she's been there before, and all the other girls, all the other talent know that. And she built a rapport with the talent. They trusted her, but now somebody else is going to come in there, and I don't know why they got rid of her, but I think it may not have been in the best interest of the company to replace her. Now, I know you're not going to keep a job forever, but she was there 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
My God.
I was going to say, I don't
think she has to worry about the future. Who did she marry? What's the name of that cook?
Oh, I don't know. I know he's fairly well known in America.
He's fairly well known. Yeah, I used to watch him on TV, but I don't think she has to worry about a job. But she does legitimately love pro wrestling, because when you look at Gail, she's not a big girl at all. So to think of her even getting into business and she had to be probably smaller than she is now. And how she did it, she just got in there and dug. She is a story that she came from where she came from and made it as far in the wrestling business as she did.
Yeah, she was like Ricky
That's
Morton, wasn't she? Sort of like the plucky
Yeah.
underdog kind of thing.
That's right. And she learned what she needed to learn, and she was a fiery baby face like Ricky. And um, they did it the hard way because they didn't start on top. They weren't really big people, and they just had to work their way there, and both of them did it.
Now, she also says, once again, Matt Hardy, currently in TNA, just called it a very, very shocking departure as well. Couldn't wrap his head around it. But in Gail Kim's statement saying, this will not end passion for love of wrestling and all that.
Did she thank me?
That was implied.
Oh, okay.
She says,
Good.
looking forward to the future. So what is her future, do you think? Still agenting? Can you see her back on screen for any reason?
Well, she'll probably go to work for Tony Khan. And they got Ring of Honor. And, they still have WWE. And they're not mad at her. I mean, now I think, see, just because Vince got a little pissed at her, he's not there anymore. You got to see who's in charge now, Triple H. And I don't think Triple H is mad at her. I don't think Stephanie's mad at her. So she may end back up there as an agent. And
NXT.
I mean, I think
why not Florida? She lives in Florida.
She does live in Florida.
I think she lives in Florida. Yeah, she lives not far from you. Do you remember when we interviewed her and I said you should have just driven round to Dutch's house?
Yeah.
Save the broadband.
Yeah. I remember that now. You got to keep reminding me of things. I've been hit on the head a couple of 100,000 times.
That's what I'm here for.
But
what I'm here for.
But yeah, I think she'll get enough work to where she'll be happy.
Now, from one lady been released to one who has agreed for her release, I guess, is Saraya, formerly Paige of WWE, who you know. The former Paige in WWE, Saraya, went to AEW, as she says, to help build the AEW women's division. Instead, she was almost immediately an afterthought, despite being the most well-known female on the roster at the time. It was in 2022. It was a pretty big deal, It was one of the big names from WWE, the women's roster, anyway, going over. And then she sort of, I guess, found out that 5 years on the shelf after having a severe neck injury, she kind of struggled to keep up with the current crop of women. 5 years in women's wrestling in the US is an eternity, pretty much. So soon after her debut, she was put with Ruby Soho and Toni Storm, pre-Timeless Toni Storm, as some sort of outsiders faction, but it was absolutely terrible, and maybe the worst faction in AEW history, and that's up against some pretty stiff competition. Then Saraya disappeared for months, only to return and enter in a rush program to get her to win the AEW women's title at Wembley, the first Wembley show, to get that home crowd cheer kind of thing. And then she lost the belt almost immediately, and then ever since then, pretty much.
You went to that show. You went to that show, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I went to the first one.
Okay, when she got in the ring, how did the fans receive her?
Okay, to the best of my memory, I think when she won it, she got the cheer and everything like that. I remember not caring at all because they'd done such a bad job of building it.
Well, you would.
Hey, look, you're talking to the person who, like, during the CM... Right, this was the first match on the show, right? CM Punk and Samoa Joe. I hadn't realised they were the opener. I was just at the bar. I was just chatting to people. I only saw the last 5 minutes.
How many people recognized you?
At the time, not that many. I got... quite... not tons, but a few people came up to me and said hello, which was nice.
Oh, that's good.
So, yeah.
Did they say something like, how do you stand that stupid-ass Dutch? Did they say that?
Yeah, all of them. And I said, don't worry, we get paid. It's fine. I'm paid to sport with him.
The check doesn't bounce.
Yeah, the check. Hey, no, well, sometimes I forget to send the check, but, you remind me sooner rather than later. I know that. That being said...
She was received fairly well.
Yeah,
she's from there.
Yeah, but that was like the last time she basically did anything memorable whatsoever. And then Tony Khan, he must have been paying her a lot of money. and then just. And then all of a sudden, I bet a few months later, Mercedes Moné is, going to be signed, and then the new shiny toy.
Why don't we call Tony Khan
What?
and tell him we would like to do a podcast from his TV studios, if he has one.
From his shed.
Yeah. They just fly us in every week, pay us a ton of money. We just do this and we disappear.
He flies in Will Ospreay every week. I don't want to do that, though.
Well, what is a ticket from London to New York or wherever it is?
Well, let's say London to Tampa, business class is if you can get a decent. If you go on the right day, I don't know, $3,500-$4,000 return to Tampa.
Really?
Or Orlando.
Oh, that's a round trip.
Yeah.
That is nothing for Tony Khan. He throws that away on a damn just going to get a tank of gas. See?
I know, that's something to me. That's a lot of money.
See? Well, it is a lot of money. But I'm saying, but all we'd have to do was say, hey, Tony, give us a job. We'll get your TV show up and running. Just talking about it. We'll get the people watching it.
Oh, funnily enough, we're going to be talking about that in a minute. Before we get off the point, Saraya leaving. She left Tony. Her and Tony Khan decided that she would leave 6 months early, despite the fact that she'd already had 5 months off.
Okay. She had 5 months off. Then she's going to leave early, but not get paid for that early leaving.
No, but I don't even know why she would negotiate leaving early when she had 6 months left on her deal and she wasn't being used. You might as well just stay home and get 6 months worth of money.
Yeah, but that is really robbing Tony. And he might not have wanted. He may have smartened up a little bit.
He's getting rid of people. He got rid of Aleister Black and Ricky Starks and Rusev.
He got rid of what's his name? Black.
Aleister Black.
McAllister Black. Do you see anything in him?
I don't know. Yeah, I think he's probably going to go back to WWE, so we'll see.
I don't see that guy at all.
No?
He doesn't cheat. He doesn't do anything. He's kind of likable, to tell you the truth, and he's a heel. But anyway, it's not for me.
Do you remember any of Saraya's AEW career at all? Because you used to watch Rampage every week.
Oh, well, I remember her. I think they could have done something with her. Didn't they put who's the blonde they got there? May?
No, Mariah May. Did she wrestle Mariah May?
Wasn't she the movie star?
Mariah May.
And she was doing this 1920s.
No, you're thinking of Tony Storm.
Oh, Tony Storm.
Yeah.
But didn't she? I don't know.
Yeah,
the show confuses me. But I really like the Tony Storm. I think she was good. I think they can do something with her.
Well, what they did was they killed off that feud that she had with Mariah May, and now she's not really doing much of anything. Mm-hmm. But anyway, there you go. Right, let's stick with AEW now. Adam Copeland defends the AEW spike spot on Jon Moxley. How could you forget, Dutch? Last week.
I remember that. And I read his excuse too, or his reasoning for it.
Okay. Do you want me to read it, or do you...
No, read it. You can read it.
Okay. I look at wrestling as a variety show. That means you can bring up a lot of different things to the table with that. There can be some comedy, straight up wrestling, hardcore matches. That has always been my case. It's also not really out of the ballpark of what Moxley and I do every once in a while. Think about me and Mick Foley. I'm sure there are a lot of people that were disturbed by that too. Not really. Anyway, there are also a lot of people who enjoy horror movies. There are people who enjoy rom-coms. Anyway. All right. I can see where that one's going already. He's basically just saying... what is he even saying?
No, he's saying it's just totally different. And I think... But I'm thinking he's got nails in his back. How do you get even for somebody hitting you with nails in the back unless you bring a machete with you to the ring next time? I mean, and I watched it, and see, he was perfectly safe because if you have more nails they can't enter. If that'd been a single nail, that would have went through almost to the hilt. But with so many nails in there, only about this far it goes in. But I found it. I mean, I looked at it and I wasn't really. Maybe I've watched too much, and I think the fans have watched too much because that didn't really. Did it shock people? Do you think, or what?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think the whole it's a variety show thing washes at all. So it's like, okay, you can have a puppet show in the first segment, and then a gangbang in the second segment, and then.
Wait, that is horrible. A gangbang.
Well, okay, as an example. I mean, yeah, you can have anything in a variety show.
But I would probably watch it though.
Yeah, you'd probably judge it, I imagine. But you know what I mean? It's like that. It doesn't work, that excuse. Okay, it's a variety show, so you can have literally. Okay, you can have a lynching in the ring for Thingy 3, and then you can have some close-up card magic for segment 4.
Following that logic, why don't we just have an execution?
Yeah, why not?
Just line people's up, give them a gun, and you pick a fan out of the. He'll take one of the guns.
Row 8. Chair AE.
Come down and take the gun. That would actually be good. All right, have somebody just jump off the. What would really be good if you come off the ladder, then you land on the nails. But it didn't kill the guy, didn't even hurt the guy. And the guy said, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. See, if that doesn't necessitate,
necessitate.
Whatever. A bunch of guys running in the ring to check him out to see if he's okay. Nothing will. I don't know. Okay. Hey, I can't make up scenarios for these guys and or these people who do stuff like that. If it works, it works. If it don't. But what if somebody come up to you, wait a minute, and said, listen, we're going to get those nails, and I want you to be facing away from me, and I'm going to bury it in your back. What do you say?
No.
Not so fast there, Bubba. I don't think I want nails in my back, But that had to be Moxley. Moxley said, yeah, do it.
Yeah,
that had to be Moxley's idea.
There's something else that Adam Copeland also said, which is also a terrible example. Here's the quote. I think that is what AEW does. I also feel like AEW is not afraid to take some risks. For a lack of a better analogy, we're kind of a bit punk rock. It's not always going to be pretty. It's an alternative. It's something different. And I think if you look throughout the history of the company, it's not something new. Darby Allin was falling off ladders and glass and thumbtacks. And do you know what? People back then were saying that was too far as well and really dangerous, and glass was flying into the crowd. And it was a really bad idea. No one was saying that's a great idea. They were AEW's own fans and, most wrestling fans were saying maybe you should tone it down a bit. What about that Dante Martin a couple of years ago when he snapped his ankle in half? Or when Sting dived off the ladder and instead splashed someone's knee and broke his face?
Yeah. And he almost killed himself too.
Yeah, no one's saying, well, you know, we do all these stupid things. This is just what this company does, which is true. But no one's saying it's a good idea.
But still, I go back to what I say week after week after week here. It's a stories. It's a story, a long running story, and you have 3 stories on the show, and they're fairly engaging. You can run a show like that. But guys doing the freaky stuff every now and then, it's because the people will remember that 20 seconds after they leave the matches. And you know what half of them will say? Fake. Here you're walking out with a half a lung, and they said, fake. What?
What did you used to say, Dutch? What was the phrase you used to say? You liked it when the marks were.
Oh yeah, I like when the marks used to sit in the seats, buy tickets, instead of being in a dressing room with me. Because no, I've been in some dressing rooms like that. Well, they were just, they had only been in the business they weren't in the business. They were just over there acting like they were in the business, and they'd only been there like 2 weeks, but they were acting like they'd been there for 5 years. Then they're really marks when they come over there and ask you for your autograph, and then go out and work the next match. Crazy.
Would you do that if someone in the locker room asks you for your autograph or a photo?
Well, I'd charge them.
Yeah, fair enough then. Well, hang on, they're only getting paid a hot dog and a handshake.
I'd charge them $10.
Charge them half the hot dog they're getting paid.
Oh, yeah, you say, all right, who you want this to? Timothy? Okay, to Timothy. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, eBay. Right, okay, let's move on. Ryan Nemeth, the brother of, Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler formerly.
Now, tell me this whole story about this guy.
It's so convolutedly weird.
That's what I'm saying. I don't understand it.
Okay, right. Let's do.
Why is he getting? Go ahead.
The absolute basic version of this, right, is that the CM Punk thing. CM Punk didn't want Ryan in an AEW Collision taping because Ryan had basically buried CM Punk on Twitter, and Ryan's excuse was, "Well, I'm a heel," and da-da-da. It's like they weren't even working together. He was just trying to suck up to the Young Bucks or whatever he was trying to do. I don't know. Anyway, AEW stopped using Ryan quite a way ago and eventually just let him go because they were barely using him beforehand anyway. It's not like he was a big star there. But eventually, Ryan Nemeth decided to sue AEW, Tony Khan, and CM Punk for all in a roundabout way costing him his career in AEW. Yep. And now, he is absolutely furious. Keep in mind, he's the one who's suing them, right? First. And now he has
Ryan Nemeth.
Yeah.
He sued AEW first.
And Tony Khan and CM Punk, yes.
Okay. He sued them.
Yeah, and now he's pissed off that Tony Khan and AEW are now countersuing him. But apparently, it's not because they're countersuing him, it's because that they approached him, or a man approached him to serve him papers while he was doing a second and final performance in an off-Broadway production, Dutch.
Yep.
And then
I read that.
Yeah, and then he's done like almost a page worth of complaining about it. And it's like, how can you complain about it? You're the one who sued them first.
Mm-hmm. I don't get it. So it doesn't have anything really to do with the wrestling business. It just happened. The bad feelings between them, right?
Oh, yes.
This is personal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I have no idea what's going on here. And I would say, they'll settle out of court. No, I think Tony wants to hurt him now, financially hurt him. So if he can make him spend money on a lawyer, that he's already won. Because the lawyer's not cheap.
He's an independent contractor.
Yes,
so,
he is.
I mean, as we've complained many, many times here, yeah, it's unfair, but you sign your name on the dotted line. I mean, how can you then come back and say, well, you didn't use me or you got rid of me unfairly? You're an independent contractor, so they can just not use you.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I don't think this is going to bode well for Ryan, unless his brother does something.
What's he going to do? I mean, he's in TNA.
Oh, that's right. So now, yeah, but he knows Tony, doesn't he?
Don't really. No, I don't think Nick Nemeth ever wrestled for AEW. I don't think.
Maybe not.
But no. So yeah. Anyway.
So I don't know. I changed my verdict now. I think it looks bad for Ryan.
Let me give you some more quotes here just to enjoy it. Tony Khan, All Elite Wrestling, a lawsuit has been filed against you. That's what he was reading, Ryan, the page of the paper. Nobody was ambushed. Nobody was caught off guard. In fact, one might argue that me choosing the unfortunate lawsuit option was telegraphed very clearly by 2 years of me trying all the other non-lawsuit options. Finally, after that very fair, very professional heads up we filed, he dismissed... My former employer, a billionaire, Tony Khan, definitely had a choice. He could have very easily sent the notice to my attorney. He has his contact info. He could have had it sent on Monday morning, or any morning for that matter. These are aggressive tactics designed to intimidate me and to stop me from speaking up about how I was treated. Oddly enough, I was also told the lawyer who offered me the original settlement had no authority to do so. That sounds like serious organisational dysfunction, but who am I to say? Tony could have also done this in a professional, respectful manner. Instead, he and his lawyers chose to send someone to Astoria, Queens, New York City on a Saturday night to find me in the lobby of a small 150-seat theatre in front of family, friends and theatre-goers mere minutes before I stepped on stage in a pathetic attempt to humiliate and intimidate me. You think he's got a point?
Well, he probably has a point. But legally, does he have a point? I don't know. What's he being sued for by Tony?
It's just countersued, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know
For
what
what?
he's been. It doesn't say. It just says
Okay,
he's been countersued.
what did his name is Ryan
Yeah.
Nemeth? What did Ryan sue Tony for?
Unfair dismissal, and
Yeah.
I basically guess ignored by AEW because of event. Oh, I remember it. It was Tony Khan is in love with CM Punk, and because of CM Punk's, influence, that's
Yes.
why I got shunted down the car door. I stopped getting booked.
Is he suing CM Punk?
Yes.
Oh, suing them.
Yeah.
Well,
Here's the thing. Do you think Ryan Nemeth has got some serious main character syndrome here? Because he seems to think he's the main character in this when he was absolutely on the far ends of the periphery.
it is some dumbass shit, to tell you the truth. And it's going nowhere. The judge will kick it out, and you guys go out in the corner in an alley and fight it out. Then at least we'll have a damn criminal suit against you for fighting on the streets. But he says, civilly, I don't think anybody's got anything. And I don't think they do. And I'm not a judge. I'm not even a lawyer.
He'll just be thrown out, I'm pretty sure. We're going to move on. Now, random person says AEW Dynamite achieves an extra 500,000 viewers on Max, which I believe is the HBO over-the-top streaming service, like their version of Netflix, basically. This is from SE Scoops. All Elite Wrestling is averaging around 500,000 viewers for its Wednesday Dynamite show on the Max streaming platform since the show debuted on the app this year, according to sources. Combined with the live cable numbers, I'm going to just keep doing that now. This would give Dynamite an average of 1 to 1.2 million.
According to who? Do it again.
Sources.
Okay.
I'm going to do it in a different voice now. Anyway, so this would give the average of around 1 to 1.2 million viewers per episode since it was added to the streaming service. Now, this is based on sources, Dutch. Nobody knows what these numbers are. So what is this source coming out all of a sudden? I don't know. That is now apparently coming out of this.
So they're saying 500,000 people are watching it on Max.
And this is in addition to the 650,000 on average watching on TNT or TBS or whatever.
So is it the same tape as it's a weekly tape, right?
Yes,
it's the same one.
It's simulcast, so it's live on both sources.
Simulcast, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you add them together, they're doing over 1 million people.
Yeah,
which is, I guess, fine. So if for the company to say that, it makes sense to me.
It's not the company saying it. It's just some guy.
Sources.
A source, yes.
I'm going to tell you what. We're going to get Source on this show. And we're going to interview his ass. We're going to interrogate that bastard. And he'll be sorry he ever put his name to this, Sources. and we'll check him out. But I'm saying the sources, if they add them together, that means they can add 650 to 500. So that gives you 1,150,000, right?
Yeah, that is numbers being added up. But, I mean, you can make up any number, quite frankly. Okay, right. Even Dave Meltzer, right, who we all know is obsessed with AEW.
Yeah.
He says nobody knows what the numbers are. The numbers are under lock and key. AEW themselves don't even know the numbers. Tony Khan might have a vague idea, but even Tony Khan doesn't know the numbers.
Okay.
WWE doesn't know the numbers, especially.
If they're showing the tape on Max, are they paying Tony for the tape?
They are, yes.
Okay, is the other show or TBS?
Yeah, Collision. Yeah, that's on.
They're paying them?
Yeah, that's part of the package of why they got such a huge rights deal increase, was that it was going to be then simulcast on Max.
Okay. Well, that is a plus for Tony, I think.
Yeah, if it's true, which it might be. Doesn't sound
Well, can't
right.
we can't check the numbers on Max?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Why?
Because they're under lock and key. Nobody knows what the numbers are, apart from like a few people.
They don't release these within the industry?
They don't release them to AEW. AEW doesn't know what these numbers are. Tony Khan doesn't fully know what the numbers are, apparently.
But, okay.
But random person here knows.
Source.
Source, yes.
Source McGee knows what the numbers are. And if I was Tony, I'd call Source up and say, where are you getting these numbers? And quote him verbatim. And I'd have him say that.
Here's the thing. And I might even do a video myself just talking about this, but WWE Raw on Netflix. So this is WWE Raw. Okay, so back when it was on the USA Network, which is fairly equal to Turner Broadcasting cable stations, the major ones, as far as reach, was getting what, like 1.4 million, 1.5 million views, whatever. On Netflix, I mean, there's a lot of, I know you like this word, extrapolating, of trying to figure out what the average viewership is in the US. On Netflix, it's around, nowadays, maybe even less than 1.3 million viewers in the US watching live, and then factoring in plus 7-day viewership, you know, for the week ahead, maybe about 1.6 million. So what they're saying is that Raw, the flagship show of WWE, gets 1.3 million on Netflix, which is 10 times more watched than Max, or so. But Dynamite, split between Turner Broadcasting and HBO, is doing almost equal numbers to Raw. And I just don't buy it at all.
I don't buy it either. And besides, you've already lost me. If we were TV executives, which I could not be. I can't understand the numbers and, you know, say put here and add over there and subtract here, and it confuses me. It really does. So to me, I guess they're making their money off that network, whatever it draws, and they're not being dropped. I thought they went up on where were they doing 2.5 million?
AEW,
That's not
they
that
never
long
did.
ago.
No, where's this? WWE, that's SmackDown.
WWE.
That was on Fox, yeah.
And they have a proper rating system.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
Netflix doesn't. But see, Netflix, can't you get? Isn't that streaming?
Yes.
You can pick it up anytime, right?
Yeah.
So whether you watch it live or not doesn't matter. So you could go in there at 1 o'clock in the morning and turn it on. Yes. Or you could go in there.
I'd have to watch it live. That's when it starts broadcasting. Here.
Say in the U.S., you could go in there at 2:17 in the afternoon and watch it.
Yeah.
It's streaming.
Yeah.
So, and they got a good amount of money for it.
Who's this? WWE or AEW?
Well, who's on the Netflix?
WWE. Yeah, WWE. Yeah, they got $500 million a year for it. I don't think they're good. I can safely say they'll be having, Christmas turkey come December, and so will Tony Khan and family, I'm sure, once again. So, look, my heart's not bleeding for them. I'm just basically just questioning $500,000 massively. There you go. Right.
We need to quit talking about the viewership, because it doesn't matter really if they get their money.
Mm-hmm.
All they got to do is even come close to the number that they, that they put out in space. We wanted to draw 1 million viewers a week. They even get close to that, they're going to stay with it. 600,000 they may seek a reduction or just get rid of the show. But I think I don't know what they're doing.
That's
So
well,
fans make out of that what you will, because I don't understand it, and you do it to me on purpose, so I get
no,
confused here.
I know you hate ratings talk, but I had to bring that one up. Right, we've only got one more news story. This is actually going to be, so everybody knows, a bit of a reduced episode this week, just because we started a lot later because Dutch had something better to do than record this show.
Okay, I'll tell you what it was. It
Okay.
was a court appearance. I had to appear.
Fair enough. Ryan Nemeth,
I,
character
I,
witness.
I keyed a Tesla, so they took me to court.
Right, okay, here's the fun one. Hulk Hogan versus Linda Hogan versus Brooke Hogan drama. And we always like a Hulk Hogan story in this show. Anyway, Linda Hogan, Hulk Hogan's ex-wife, for some reason randomly posted a tearful video complaining that Hulk Hogan is a compulsive liar and sex addict. Tell us something we don't know. Because Hulk actually cheated on Linda with Brooks, his daughter's best friend, which sort of hastened the divorce. And that the family breakup was all his fault and that Brooke Hogan won't talk to either of them anymore. But instead of just quoting it, Dutch, why don't we watch the video together? 1 second. Okay, here we go.
I don't know how that reflected onto me, but she cut me out too. I haven't talked to her for 7 years, almost 8 years now. And God bless Nick. He's still such a good boy. I've never put a Facebook post out like this with my ugly face and my crying face, but I have to be honest about what I went through in my marriage with Terry.
She's got like skin cancer or something. She's got a weird mold.
What it entailed and what it has caused over the years and everything else. He's a complete liar. He is a sex addict. Your face out there and know that all these horrible things are going on behind the scenes. Yet he marches on. He marches on like, yeah, oh, I'm promoting my own beer, real American beer. Yeah, look at me. Woo! Yeah, he's such
nice
a hero,
plug for the beer.
right? Not. Okay, I'm going to give him my thumbs down. I've given him more opportunities to come back and make us a family and try to, I'm sorry, it's so sad.
Yeah, it's weird that someone would post that.
Okay, let me ask you something. Hook underneath it with is that his new wife?
Yeah. Now, I think someone's just
they
edited that in. No, someone's just edited that
saying.
in for a joke.
Oh, listen, I think anything private in the family needs to remain private. And if you see that, you see Linda Hogan, she's crying. She's obviously hurt. And I think she'd been drinking a little bit and she doesn't look good. And putting Hulk underneath her with his new wife, like eating popcorn and saying, "Oh, you listen to this," or whatever. It was put together, like you said, for clicks, and it's probably getting a lot of clicks. And we all know of Hulk and Linda's problems. And we know the sex tape that he did with damn not Brutus Beefcake.
There probably is a sex tape with those two. You never know.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, this is not even enjoyable to watch. It's really not. See, Linda's never done anything to me. She never bothered me. Hulk's never done anything to me. I just listen to some of the bullshit he puts out. But anyway, that's a private affair, and I think it should remain so. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't get the whole. I don't know if it's because they're on a reality show or they were many years ago at the time. It's like, are they just all addicted to fame in one way or another, or addicted to attention?
Could be.
Do you get what I mean?
Well, you know, Hulk is.
Well, Hulk definitely is. I mean, I know Brooke wanted to be a singer, and then Linda, for all intents and purposes, apparently was addicted to fame, and she wanted to be a star and all that kind of thing as well. I don't understand it.
Did you read Brooks, her little rundown of what happened?
I can read it right now. So, Brooke Hogan, in response to the video, wrote the following on Instagram. There was a recent video posted by my mother that was concerning enough for people to send to me that has made me feel the need to address the tip of a very large iceberg that is my immediate family. I won't read a lot of all of this because it's quite lengthy.
Yep.
What little I am addressing does not even scratch the surface of what I've dealt with my entire life. I will start by saying this video is mild compared to the behaviour I've witnessed for the greater portion of my life. This also comes in addition to false claims that she's previously posted, then deleted. That being said, she has been through a lot of trauma and pain. My heart breaks for her. You can't control how others treat you, but you can control how you treat others and cope with these things. I have completely separate reasons for going no contact with each of my parents, she clarified. This decision was made based purely on how they have dealt with me directly my entire life. Do bear with me, I'll read a couple more and then I'll throw it to you. What I'm about to say is not... I'll skip that. I've been extremely verbally and mentally abused since childhood. She claimed, sadly, it would be frequently turning physical, and sometimes it's not by the person you would assume. Abuse comes in all shapes and sizes. This vicious pattern has robbed me of any sense of self-esteem or confidence I've been trained to pretend to have. Up until adulthood, I've received berating and vile text messages, verbal and public, reamings with unbelievably hurtful words said to me that cannot be forgotten. I've been asked to defend poor behaviour to the public, and have done so out of love, only to find I was misinformed, manipulated and lied to. Now, I want to actually forget about these for a second, but it reminds me of quite a number of different stories where someone becomes famous and then all of a sudden some family member comes out of the woodwork to try and associate themselves with their child who's become famous. Do you know what I mean? Yep. Something like that. And we see that time and again, and it just seems like one giant circular bloody attempt to get attention for themselves, or I don't get it, man.
Well, even let's assume that it's 80% or 90% made up just to keep them in the spotlight. It's still not even good to hear, because I think it is a dysfunctional family and has been for the last 30 or 40 years. How old is Brooke?
At least in her 30s, I think. I'll look that up, but she's in her 30s. Yeah, okay, 36 sounds right.
We know they've had problems, marital problems, and see, things like that I don't give a crap about. I really don't. That's their problem. So don't ask me to get inside of it, because I don't want to. So, and we know Hulk, he's all his deals and all he was going on. And
I've got one for you. I've got one for you about Hulk, a new one. Do you want to hear it?
What is it?
So you know that Hulk Hogan has time and again claimed that the only reason that he didn't get the grill that ended up going to George Foreman. Have you heard this story?
No.
He claimed that because he wasn't in and he didn't check his messages, that he missed the opportunity to be the face of what would become the George Foreman grill.
Yes.
And somebody did some research, phoned up the original, I don't know if it was the agent or I think even the inventor or whatever, to confirm that that was horseshit and that they never had anybody in mind apart from George Foreman. It's like Hulk Hogan cannot stop lying. And people even say, well, he's older now. He's hit in the head too many times, dementia. He was coming up with absolute bollocks, right? Absolute bullshit from the 90s onwards. You can't give the old dementia,
When did he first say that?
Oh, he was claiming this 20 years ago. At least he was claiming this in public. And it's like, man, people talk like research doesn't exist.
This video was posted by Linda, correct?
The original one was posted by Linda herself, then someone edited in Hulk Hogan and his new wife. And
so I wonder, does she appear drunk to you? She does to me.
I don't know, actually. I wouldn't.
I think she's sitting around commiserating amongst herself, not maybe with friends. She's probably lost all of her friends. And, this is supposed to like elicit a laugh from fans.
Well, sympathy.
But it doesn't. But I don't think it does anything. I think you look at it like she's a freak on this app, whatever she put it on, Instagram or whatever. And I don't. It's not funny. And I think putting Hulk underneath it, like eating popcorn with his other wife or whatever. And that just, and Linda's going to see that. So who was the the joke of this was Linda. And who knows if Linda is in this, I'm going to take her at face value. She is hurt.
One more thing I want to bring up to you is that not only did Brooke respond, Brooke's husband also responded. Former NHL player Steve Alexi, I think. Anyway, the couple welcomed a set of fraternal twins, Oliver and Molly, in January. Now, also the article I copied and pasted this from said that Hulk Hogan was 77 and not even 71. So, I mean, even the Daily Mail is lying on behalf of Hulk Hogan on this one. But anyway, Brooke's husband said that they ended up having what amounted to a secret wedding. It was never actually meant to be that. Anyway, quote, unfortunately, it was the only viable option when another party involved, Hulk Hogan, said, I don't do weddings or funerals anymore. Which is perplexing, considering that the same person has attended multiple weddings since then and even got married in the time since. Yeah. What's going on?
It's the Hogans, man.
Yeah.
Didn't they have a TV show one time?
Awful. Yeah, reality show. Trying to capitalize on that Ozzy Osbourne thing, I guess.
Stupid.
Did you watch any? Did you watch any?
I watched it maybe 10 minutes, and I went, bull crap. Not interesting to me, and it was just a continuation of the Hulk Hogan image and all, that he ran the house and Linda was, I don't know. I can't even remember it now, but it didn't interest me at all.
Yeah, no, MTV used to repeat that on just constantly.
I hated
at one
it.
Point.
It sucked. It was bad TV.
Right. Before we go into bad TV, we're going to shut down the show a little earlier than usual. I'm sorry, everybody. Just once again, we started a lot later than usual, so I'm having to shave off a bit of time because I've got to get a lot of stuff done tonight as well. So, that being said, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We're on every single Wednesday now for Storytime with Dutch and every single Sunday for Ask Dutch Anything. And if you want to send in questions for Ask Dutch Anything, the only way you can do that is via email at questionsfordutch@gmail.com. We get a lot of submissions every single week. Only the best make it. So if you're going to send in a question, make sure it's a good one. Until then, everybody, Dutch, we'll see you on Sunday. We, the people.